Well, this is a super volcano you probably never heard of if you're in the West, because in the West they seem to only focus in on the problems of the West or the potential problems where the West can actually downfall. But actually, this volcano, Paektu Mountain, is very active actually, and it's a super cauldron. If you look at it in detail, this large lake down here on the bottom is, hey man, it's big. That's all I gotta tell you. But where is it located? It's the highest mountain in the Korean Peninsula. It's right near the border of China. It's a huge crater lake called Heaven Lake, and it's a caldera on top of the mountain. So actually, they estimate it. There's been scientific estimations that a 98% chance this is going to go off sometime between now and 2040. So you got 25 years. Sometime in the next 25 years, this thing's going to go off. But that has major implications, though, for the globe. Because it's going to be extremely bad where it happens. It's going to make Mount St. Helens look like a little hiccup sneeze. But this would be just as bad as something like that could happen by Yellowstone, which is what you always see as the popular theme of the alternative media. Yeah, the Illuminati's trying to blow up Yellowstone and take down the U.S. And you hear this all the time, right? I don't know what the hell the Illuminati's trying. If the Illuminati was that damn good, Iran, we wouldn't have to do sanctions with Iran, right? We'd just make an earthquake and have their nuclear facilities just fall apart, right? Come on, man. I mean, there's a limit to this Illuminati technology stuff, but although I think they got a little crazy, they got some wild technology out there. But, actually, one of the things they always put out about it, this is a map of the future map of North America. But actually, when this happens, say something like this happened in North America. Say it did. In North Korea, they're gonna have their mountain blow up, and it's gonna cause catastrophic problems over there. I think it's gonna happen throughout the world because actually during the times of a lot of these volcanoes is during the ebbs and the flows of the solar sunspots. The sunspots. Actually when we go into ebbs and flows of the power of the sun, it seems to all work in conjunction with the Earth's magnetic field and volcanic activity. Actually, we're seeing a hell of a lot more volcanic activity going on in the Earth recently. Up in Greenland and all that type of stuff. A lot of stuff going on. So if that happens something happened here in the United States, something could possibly very happen over by the North Korean border. Now, actually, I tell you, I don't think in the United States, well, it could be really bad. I don't know. To me, some of these maps, they show like everything submerged on the whole eastern half of the United States. Like I'm in Florida, but I'm actually like in the most mountainous spot of Florida, which is a lot higher up than most of the freaking East Coast down in the United States or in the Southeast. But I ain't worried about it because I realized that it would have to be something ridiculous. And I got my boat. So anyway, put that hold the freaking mast up, baby. Oh, the wave is coming, man. Hey, it's 21-footer McGregor, right? It'll do the job. Anyway, but so anyway, it floats too. But the thing is, I'm really just kidding about that. But this would be a worst case scenario. But if this happens in the U.S., it's happening globally. It's not going to happen just us. These people all talk about, the USA. It's going to happen everywhere, and I don't think it's going to be done by the elite. It's going to be done by nature. There have been things in the past. They don't happen very often. That's why shouldn't dwell upon it. Even this thing with the supervolcano. The supervolcano, the thing I think in Yellowstone probably has an extremely high chance of freaking blowing up over the next 50 years, too. I don't know. But they said there's a 98% chance of that supervolcano blowing up in the next 25 years between now and 2040. Well, to me, that's a pretty big deal. But you know what? It's not going to just affect North Korea. It's going to affect us here in the United States because it's going to affect the global weather everywhere. I don't know if I should put out a separate video about this global warming stuff. I put enough out about that, but maybe I should just mention it here. Actually, this is the picture of the big caldera. It's a lake, man. This is because the whole freaking mountaintop blew off the freaking... This is the highest mountain in North Korea. They the whole mountaintop blew off before. It's now a lake, and it's still the highest mountain. But they've been showing there's a lot of pressure building up underneath and all this kind of stuff. They're pretty certain it's gonna blow up again, pretty damn bad, and it does every once in a while. It doesn't do it like every 10 years or 50 years, but it's on the timetable to do it. And maybe it's gonna happen when Yellowstone blows up. Now, obviously I'm not a fan of the North Korean regime or nothing, but I have to say this. Even this guy Kim up there, Kimmy, the new Kim, I almost can't imagine him being anywhere near as bad as his two predecessors. Just because the way he seems to look and act. You know what I mean? He looks like a guy that's, I don't know, man. But then again, the other guys all around him probably control the whole deal. But, I wouldn't want nothing to happen bad to North Koreans, man. It'd be good if, the bad guys up there got it. That's the way I look at it. But, this is actually the super volcano nobody ever freaking thinks about. But, you could think, well, maybe the bad guys up in North Korea are going to get clobbered when this thing goes and blows up. And, that could very well be. But the problem is we're going to get clobbered over here indirectly. Not due to war or anything like that, but due to the how it's going to affect the atmosphere. Because, you talk about, global warming is a big damn farce. Actually, I am going to put something out separate about it because I'm going to address some of the stuff, how to freaking throw in lies and curveballs to people. But with this global warming stuff, it's a New World Order elite agenda, man, to the max. Well, one super volcano will put up more freaking crap in the air than 100 years of man-made pollution. That's a guarantee you right there, man. No problem. It'll do it. Just one super volcano, not a regular volcano, a super volcano. It'll put more crap up in the air than all the stuff we did for the last 100 years. That's the way it works, man. It's actually going to change. Unfortunately, it's going to change a lot with food production and the way things are. And I guess this map is really wrong, because they're showing like the volcano on this map or this rendering of it comes from the center of the earth. Actually, that's incorrect. Actually, it's coming from pressures of the crust. That's what's causing the heat. It's just like friction. It's just like, if you're running down the road with a car and you didn't put any grease on the wheel bearing, it'll freaking turn to molten steel in no time flat, right? That's exactly what happened. That's exactly how lava forms. So, it's the friction of the plates moving in the earth. It's not really coming from the center of the earth. But, yeah, I mean, there's always been stresses. There's always been things going on. I don't think anybody understands this, but somehow it's all related to the magnetosphere of the earth, which is actually the lowest it's been in 2,000 years, believe it or not. And also the solar activity and the solar sunspots. And, usually there's a lot more volcanic activity going on during the times of the mini ice ages, and there's also a lot less power in the magnetosphere. There's a lot of crap that could happen, Actually, the solution is just to be old school and chill out and not rely too much on electronic gizmos. That's one thing. I like the electronic gizmos for communication and exchange of ideas. I think that's good because sometimes, if you want to know how to do something or how about something, you can get that information really quick because knowledge is power. But just for electronic, whittling the time away or some kind of crap with video games, which is very popular today, that's not doing you much good. But, actually, the thing is the world could still survive even if all the electronic stuff went down. We got, we always had the power of the wind, the sail, right? How the hell do you think they used to transport goods back in the day? Wind power, baby. Wind power, man. They've been doing that for centuries, right? And we go right back to that, if necessary, in conjunction with other things, There's always a way around a problem as long as you have the knowledge to get around the problem, It's one reason I like the electronic methods, though, because it does spread knowledge. But during actually the winter of 1816, when they had a super volcano, it was actually in the summer of 1816, they had a super volcano. Prior to that, it was the summer of 1816. It was actually the year without a summer. They actually had snow in New England in the summertime. It was the year without a summer, and there was like 0 crops up in the northeast of the United States. See, that's actually to be the big problem, not so much the cold, but the fact that you can't grow something. People always take that for granted. And, if there is a problem in North Korea, it's going to affect all of us. But, that's the thing. That's the volcano nobody ever really thinks about, man. It's right on the border with China. It's their biggest mountain. It's Paektu Mountain volcano. It's a big giant lake because prior to this the whole top blew off, and it does blow up every so many centuries, and they say it's really due. It's a 9,003-foot mountain, even with the top of it blown off. It's the freaking highest mountain in North Korea, but it's due to blow up again. I mean, they're talking within the next 25 years, 98% chance. It's actually probably more likely than Yellowstone, but then again, who the hell knows? Because I think when one of them, if whatever causes this to blow up, it's going to be outside forces from maybe, the cosmos. I don't think anybody understands how this works. The sun itself is powered by plasma or something coming from the solar system. It's like a whole different interlocking array of different suns, and there's different types of plasma that's affecting the ebb and the flow of the sun. It goes up in power and it goes down in power. A little bit, not a lot, because if it went down a lot, we'd be like, totally frozen over here. But the thing is, it doesn't take much to upset the balance of nature. And, it's been on a cycle all these years throughout, everything that we can go back, say, even 1,200 years or 2,000 years that we know it's been going on with the weather going, colder, then warmer, then colder, then warmer. And also, a lot of times these colder periods, which we got coming up, is times of lower strength of the magnetosphere, and also times of much more, volcanic activity. So, it's not like something that's unlikely, but don't hold your breath on it. But, even if this happened in North Korea, we're going to get screwed over here too, because it's going to affect the crop production in the United States of America, in the Midwest, in the North Midwest, or whatever. It's going to affect everywhere. It's going to affect China, Russia, Europe, everywhere, especially in the Northern Hemisphere. We're screwed. If this thing goes off, it's something you really don't want it to happen. But, it's almost like, some of these people with these ludicrous rumors about, the Yellowstone being manipulated by the elite to go blow up so they can destroy the United States and bring about the New World Order. Well, why wouldn't they do that to North Korea on their freaking volcano first, right? I mean, come on, right? I don't know. Maybe there's I don't know. I mean, you can go down these rabbit holes too far. But actually, some of the worst case scenarios are pretty damn bad. Actually, I'm going to tell you the truth. If there's anything like this that happens, and, this is like, I don't even know how they got this map, U.S. Navy map. It's like, it's one of those things that's on the internet that's not a copyright. It's one of those, whatever you call it. It's, anybody can freaking use it. But I totally, I tell you one thing. I think it would be more likely the East Coast and along the Mississippi gets clobbered versus in and maybe even the coastal California. But I tell you the truth, the one part of this map that I think is really ludicrous is what happened in Colorado, Utah, northern Arizona, and Nevada. I don't think this is accurate, this part right here at all. I can't see those Rocky Mountains just sinking down like that. It's ridiculous. I could see, to me, the worst thing I think would be most likely is southern Florida, like along the Louisiana coast, coastal California, San Andreas Fault. Probably some of the East Coast, but nowhere near as much as this. This is a little ridiculous. But they've been putting this out as fact. I don't know where this U.S. Navy map actually came from, or somebody just wrote on it U.S. Navy map. I don't know. I don't know, man. But actually, they'll show you like on this map, Some maps will show you a lot of Texas is down. No way. I mean, maybe coastal Texas down around here. I could see that. Yeah, I think Florida down here in the South Florida, it's only 10 feet above water. But then, I mean, they got, I think, what do they call that? Sugarloaf Mountain and somewhere around Lake Apopka, a little north of Orlando. That's like 300 feet high. That ain't going to go underwater unless it gets really crazy. And I don't buy into all this garbage, This is one of these things they've been putting out on doom and gloom left and right. But I'm not really discounting the part that about Yellowstone. But Yellowstone could happen 100 years from now, 200 years from now. But then again, if you have one of these happens, like Paektu Mountain, they predict, well, I don't know how accurate that is. These were studies I saw. I wish I could point to those links, but I remember I read them. And there were scientific studies. They weren't these alternative blogger studies. There were scientific studies that they had within the next 25 years, by 2040, there's a 98% chance this thing was going to blow up and it was going to be bad. But that's going to affect all of us, not just North Korea. But are the elite trying to do this? I don't know. Were the elite around hundreds of years ago, the last time it blew up? No. I mean, for crying out loud. If they were around, they didn't have the technology. So use a little common sense, But, this is the SuperVolcano nobody knows about. Nobody knows about it here in the West. I mean, they know about it over there in Korea, but they don't know about it here in the West, It's like they're all freaking out about everything that could possibly happen over here. But there's a lot of places in the world, a lot of things can happen. And, the other thing is, when we're looking at the problems that are, like, say, they talk about this map, but, we're not in the eye of, like, super typhoons, where they got sustained winds of 150 knots. Super typhoons ain't nothing. They got those out in the Pacific left. They got typhoons, well, they're basically hurricanes, but they're a hell of a lot stronger than what comes up here on the east most of the time. And, I got to tell you one thing. The one thing I got a beef with here in the West is I don't know why the hell we build. I'm going to leave you with this thought, because I don't know why the hell we build houses that are like rectangular. Because if the house was round or octagonal, do you know how much freaking more force they could take of wind? And I don't even know why we freaking build wood frame houses. And if they were wood frame, they ought to be made out of the best pressure treated lumber. Whether the damn crap warps or not, I don't give a damn, because, going on a side note, I don't know what, I know why they do this, because it's like they just been doing it that way. It's like most of the crap we got here in the USA ain't going to be around 100 years from now. You know how they built stuff in Europe back centuries ago? I mean, they got stuff out there 500 years old. It's still a great house. Not here in the USA, man. All 2x4s and shit. I mean, that's not too bad unless you put a lot of freaking, it's pressure treated, but, they don't design anything over here to last. So if we have a catastrophic problem here in the U.S., man, I think one of the biggest problems we're going to have is dwellings, because they're not built to freaking hold up. And, actually that's a reality that we could fix. But, knowing how to, this is one of my beefs when I was an accountant in the construction industry. People would opt for entertainment centers for $600 rather than going for the extra insulation in a roof that can last 15 more years. Bolt those together for $600. They would opt for the entertainment center. And if we're going into freaking problems where we're going to have global cooling, you want a hell of a lot more strength on your domicile, and you also want a lot more insulation, right? Nah. But that's just the way people think, man. I mean, you got the one type on one side that's a worrywart on every little stupid thing going, and then the other type totally ignores everything. There's no happy medium, That's 90% of the problem. I acknowledge that these things can happen, and I keep an oblique eye out for it. But then again, it doesn't consume my whole day, and that's why I like to put out things in a more rational manner. Because if we had the supervolcano that erupted over, say, North Korea, which is far more of a possibility than something to happen in the next 25 years in Yellowstone, That super volcano in North Korea would affect us here in North America because when they had this year of with no summer in 1816, that was a super volcano that happened. I think it was in one of the islands in the South Pacific on the opposite side of the world that caused it to snow in New England in the summer. Heavy snow. Heavy snow. Reality. It's in history. You don't look it up. The year without a summer in 1816. It's real. It really happened. And it was due to a super volcano. So, if one of these happens, we're all screwed, man. We're all screwed. And, I think it's going to happen because we're going into a new mini ice age where it always coincides with, lower no sunspots, which also means a low magnetosphere in the world of the Earth. And also there's a lot more volcanic activity. But it only takes one super volcano to screw us all up, man. Even if it's not near you, it screws up the whole weather patterns. It screws us up, man. So, I don't know. Be prepared, man. So I got to tell you, be prepared for real. Don't be playing around and sticking your head in a hole. But then again, don't worry too much about it because it might be 10, 20 years from now for all I know.